everybody. I'm Greg.
And I'm Katie. Welcome to the Meeple Society. Today we are on episode 54, about halfway through the ends.
So we got another 7 games for you, but we got an extra game because we bought another game.
Yeah.
It's an addiction. But this is one we've looked at a couple times, I think.
We have looked at this one a few
Curious
times.
of it. This is Cubitos. We've looked at it a couple times. We just haven't picked it up.
Yes.
And now we're kind of glad we picked it up.
Yeah, I enjoy this. I could actually see this coming up on the 24th, which is 3 weeks away. So if it's not past June 7th, set your calendars for June 7th, please.
At 8 p.m.
At 8 p.m.
And watch us play games for 24 hours.
Yes.
And support
please.
Extra Life in the Children's Miracle Network.
Join us in the chat, help keep us awake, all that kind of stuff. All right. So Cubitos is, for all intents and purposes, a racing game.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a racing game.
It's a racing game. You are racing around the board, and I will pull just the little board out here. So there's a number of boards in here, and each board is slightly different. But the goal is you are starting, this one starts right here, and you have to race this direction to the finish line. Or actually, I guess you can come this way or this way. But you're racing around to the finish line. Whoever gets here first wins the game. Same thing over here. You're just starting. No, we didn't play this one. Oh, there's the start. And you're racing all the way down here to the finish line. Well, that's a pretty narrow spot.
Yeah, it looks
Luckily,
like
you can share spots.
Yeah. To get over to here, to get that. To get
Interesting. Oh, that looks like a fun one.
Yep.
All right, so this is essentially a dice manipulation game. Dice place, not even dice placement. You're using the dice for their abilities. So you have your player board, and at the start of each game, you get a certain number of dice. I want to say you have 7 dice to start the game with. And throughout the game, you are using the money icons that show up on your dice to purchase more dice. Mm-hmm. And there are a number of dice in here. I'm not going to open all these boxes because they are kind of a pain. But there's all sorts of dice in here with all different faces. And depending on the maps you're using will determine whether or not a specific, or no, not even the maps, I'm sorry. It depends on the cards you're using.
Yes.
Because you use one card from each colored set. So for instance, the yellow sets, there's all these different cards I could choose for yellow. Mm-hmm. Now there are some predetermined sets in the book that you can use to kind of give yourself a little bit of a theme and to make them work cohesively. Or you could just randomly pull one and say, you know what, for this game, yellow is going to be the leader season.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it says, each time you push and do not bust, +1, I think that's an extra die roll? I don't know. There's all sorts of icons in this.
Yep.
So
it's definitely a heavy icon.
But I like the fact that it gives you, like I said, literally 7 or 8 cards for every color dice in the game. So you can completely customize how you want your game to react.
Yeah. So
what powers you want to use.
So it makes it a lot of replayability.
Yeah.
And the cool thing, they got these where the dice can sit right on
Oh,
top,
yeah,
and it tells you what they are, but
they
you don't
like
really
little bleachers.
Yeah, you don't really need them because the card you're playing now is going to tell you what the dice does.
Yes.
And it tells you what's on the dice.
It does.
On all 6 sides.
But so does the card.
Yep, that's what I said. So does
So
the
you
card.
don't really need these, but I appreciate the effort.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of a pain in the butt to build because of this recess. But I can see them falling apart very quickly. Mm-hmm. I found some 3D printed replacements on Etsy, but I don't know that I want to pay another $60 for them. So we're going to survive with these for a moment. But that is Cubitos, a very interesting racing game that, like I said, you use dice as your main mechanic, as your main...
Those were on the bottom.
They were on the bottom. Yes, I realize that now. We shall stick these under the boards. And under these, there we go. See, that works. All right. So That's the side that wasn't supposed to open. But it does. Very interesting little racing game, as I said. I lost this one pretty miserably, but I enjoyed it. Actually, no, I came back at the end and it was very close.
Well, you came back at the end because I slowed down.
Oh, no, that's true. Fine, I can't deny that.
I did. I slowed way down. I was like, because I was halfway across that map before you really got a quarter of the way down one side.
At one point, there were some red lines on the board, and you got extra dice from your pool, because you could only roll like 9 per round. Yeah, you could only have a certain amount you were allowed to roll out of your pool. Didn't matter how big your pool was. You had only a certain amount. I want to say the number was 9. For every red line, you were behind the leader. You got to roll an extra die. At one point, I was rolling 12 dice. Just saying.
Well, it has just like any dice rolling game, you're going to start off with the
crappy dice.
The crappy dice, but they have ways of getting rid of it, and I was using that every time I got a chance.
You got rid of the dice that literally only had one face on them a lot. And because this has a busting mechanism too. And there were a few times I busted.
Push your luck part
of
it.
It's that push your luck aspect where
if you don't roll anything on the dice.
Well, if you roll, you're safe until you have 3 icons rolled. Once you have 3 icons rolled, then you can choose whether to roll again. But if you roll again and you roll another icon on any of the remaining dice, you're safe. You can pull those icons aside. But if you don't roll anything, all of them come up blanks, and every dice has at least 1 or 2 blanks on it. Then you bust and you lose. There is a chart, that fan chart, you can go up on. So that gives you a little bit of benefit, but not enough. So anyway, that is Cubitos. Very fun little racing game. Like I said, this might be fun on the 24th. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
Okay, I'm going to get a little box out first. This is Next Station London. This is a very interesting rolling right, and it's definitely a rolling right. No, flipping right. That's right. It's a flipping right.
Yes, this one.
It's all about drawing the London metro stations.
Okay, so the key to this one is there are 4 different color metro lines. This is a 4-player game. Each round, you play in 4 rounds. Each round, each player takes one of the 4 colors. The next round, the colors are rotating. So by the time the game's over, you will have drawn with all 4 colors. This is your map. I love how many they give you too, but this is your map of London, all the train stations. And now you have to set up your routes. So what happens is you draw, these are your cards, these are your station cards or your route cards. You shuffle these suckers up and you flip one over. And everybody has to go. Now,
you start on whatever color pencil you have.
So say I'm starting with the green. I start right here with the green diamond. And then I have to go to another diamond. I have to follow the lines. There are some dotted lines on here. I can't just jump from here all the way over to here, for say. I'd have to go to one that's right near me or along the same line without crossing through another station. And you keep doing that. So everybody draws that one. Then you pull another one and everybody draws, well, that's the switch. That's the switch. I'll come back to that. This one is a kind of a wild card. You get to draw whichever station you want. That's another wild card. A pentagon. So you draw from wherever you are to a pentagon. Your rails can go 2 directions. There is one in here, actually it is the switch, that lets you draw. As soon as you pull this one, you pull the next card, and now you can go from anywhere along your line and create a 3rd line. Throughout the game, in addition to try to connect everything, there are certain ways to score points. There are the little circles with the bumps on them. Those are tourist attractions that you're trying to hit as many tourist attractions as you can. The more different colors you have going into a single station, the more points you get, because those are places people can transfer.
The districts.
Oh, and then there's, and I don't think you can see the yellow lines here, but there are district lines on here. You get a point for every district you cross into. So there's all sorts of different ways to score in this. Not every round is going to have all cards displayed. You go until one of them has 4 cards, I believe it was. I don't remember what signified the end of the round. It was an interesting roll and write. I really like, or not roll and write, I'm sorry, interesting flip and write. I really like this one.
Yeah.
We played this with my brother and his wife a couple weeks ago, and I think before the game was even over, before we had finished putting it away, she'd gotten online and ordered this one and Next Station Tokyo.
Yep.
So now I want to play Next Station Tokyo. But anyway, that is Next Station London. It does sit in our collection, and it is going to stay there. We very much enjoy this one.
Yep.
All right.
Okay, next we have a game from R&R Games. This is New Haven.
Yeah. We picked this up at a Kohl's a long time ago.
Yeah, we had Kohl's dollars and ordered it online. And
it's an interesting one. I enjoy this one.
you enjoy this one. I'm not a big fan of it.
I know. All right, so the way this one plays, here's your board. And it is double-sided depending on the number of players. So what happens, everybody has their little shields, and you have tokens hidden behind your shields. So this is your player board. As the game progresses, you're going to have 2 things behind your shield. One, you're going to have a number of these fields, a number of these tokens here. And so each of these tokens has a color and a number associated with it. So the gray 3, which is rocks, if I remember correctly. Then there's the red, well, that's a 2. Red 2, that's wood. Those are going to be placed here on your board. Color-wise, they can go anywhere with a couple stipulations. Number-wise, they have to go onto the number marked here on the board. So if I'm laying down a 2, it has to go somewhere here in the row of 2s. But if it's a red 2, I can go over here. Stipulation being the next time I lay down a red, I have to go off of that color. I can't just send my red 3 way over here. I have to go here.
And you can't play the red 4 until you've already played the red 3.
Yes, you have to have something in that 3 slot in order to do the 4. You can't jump colors, though. It has to be a red. Now, that being said, if you can't fill in that 3, you never come up with this 3. Well, I don't have a 3. Matter of fact, I have a 2 and a 4. But say I had another red, I could flip it over to become the 3. It just becomes a generic token. I don't get as many points at the end of the game, but at least I can continue my line. Now, how you get these in the first place, or how you're able to build them. Each turn, you are laying down one of these tokens, one of these tiles. And you can start anywhere, but typically you're supposed to, matter of fact, you can lay down anywhere. I could go in the middle of the board if I really wanted to. It wouldn't serve my purpose, though. The idea is that you are wanting to hook up with a token that's already here, or tiles that have already been laid down. Because if you do, you're going to get benefits of every tile that connects to it. So for example, here, I laid down 3 of the sheep. I would get a 4th sheep because there's one printed here. I would only get 1, what is that, wheat? I would not get access to these because I don't have anything on my tile that connects to it. If I went over here, well, now I would get 3 wheat and 3 sheep. Same thing down here. Now I'd have 5 sheep. So it all depends on where you're laying it, and it doesn't have to be right side up. You can turn it sideways, whatever you need to do to make them connect. Like if I did this, I would now have 4 wood, 2 sheep, and 1 stone. So you're getting those resources. You're moving there's tokens over here that basically depict the supplies gathered. They disappear at the end of every round, so they don't carry over at all. But you're using those resources. So say I had this 4 wood. I could lay down this 4 wood tile on my board. If it's the first tile I lay down, then fantastic. I can put it in any 4 slot I want. But if I already have that 2 red down, I can't lay this down till I can connect it with that 3. So I may have to give one of these woods up to flip this over or flip another tile over to become a generic. It's a very interesting give and take on how you're laying out the cards, how you're laying out your tiles on this. Because instinctually, you want to do 1 column for each color, except that there's 4 colors and 5 columns. You get points at the end of the game for every column and every row you fill in. You get double points if you actually maintain the numbers. If you flip it over to a generic, you only get single points for that. So I would only get 4 here instead of 8 if I had any generic tiles in this. I think it's an interesting game. You have never had much luck with this one. Yeah.
My biggest thing is with the resource track, because you get all your resources, you count them up, you use what you can, and then the other players can use those resources to build buildings on them. But if they can't use them, however many resources are at 0, that's how many more tiles you get to pull out of the bag. I have never had any luck with that because it's usually I'll get 1 tile. Might get 2, but it's normally I get 1 tile. And here she is, she's getting 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 3. She'd have a pot full of them behind her board, and I'd have like 1 or 2 back there trying to figure out what I'm going to do, and they don't match up with anything on the board. So, no. This game to me, I would get rid of, but she likes it.
I like it. We're going to move it over to the other collection. I think it's an interesting strategy game.
It is. I don't like it because it doesn't play fair for me.
Sounds like a you problem, not a game problem. But
it's a game problem.
It's a you problem.
It's a game problem.
But my only complaint with this is that these squares, the tiles are too big for the square.
Yeah.
So by the time you get a few tiles down, you're like shoving them aside and that. And that's my only big problem with the game, is that the board squares are not big enough for the tiles. I enjoy the strategy behind it, but like I said, somebody else does not.
Put the rule book in first.
I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, that is New Haven. Work the land, grow your colony. Somebody's had a few bad games, so we're going to move this over to the other collection.
Next we have New York Zoo.
This is one he can't beat me in. I look back at the stats. I've won every game so far.
It's a polyomino game.
It is. Well, and
I'm not a big fan of polyomino games.
It's not a polyomino game that keeps score. It is literally race to fill your board.
It's a polyomino game.
Yes, but it's a race to fill your board. It is not a scoring game. There is no score. It's whoever finishes first.
It's a polyomino game.
All right, so the way this one plays, this plays with a rondelle of tiles. So you have this is your board. It is laid out in the middle of the table, and there are stacks of different polyomino shapes all the way around the board, with the larger shapes on top, all the way down to the smaller 3 and I think 4 shape is the smallest on the bottom. So each turn, and oh my goodness gracious, this is a big old mess because this insert does not keep everything lined up. But so each turn, there is a little elephant in here somewhere that
Probably with
moves.
the rest of the animals.
Oh, he is in here with the rest of the animals. Yep, there he is. The little elephant can move depending on how many players there are. He can move a number of spaces. Now, the spaces are these tokens, these icons here, because this means that you're picking up those animals and putting them into your zoo, or the icons where there are tiles, the holes where there are tiles still sitting. If tiles are gone, that's no longer considered a space. So you just kind of count along. For 3 players or 2 players, you move 3 spaces. Move 1 to 3 spaces, and you do the action where you land, whether it be to pick up one of these tiles and put them onto your board, or to pick up some of these absolutely beautiful little wooden animals that come with the game. These are not special. These are standard in the game. But you pick those up and you put them onto enclosures in your player board. Yes. So if this were here, I could maybe put my little flamingos right here, and
if you had flamingos to put
if I had flamingos to put there, or whatever animal I have. I mean, that is essentially the game. You are moving around, either picking up tiles, picking up animals, and then every time the elephant crosses one of these orange circle areas, then that particular animal is breeding. If you have a minimum of two animals in one enclosure, then you can breed another animal in that enclosure. As enclosures fill up, you empty the animals off your board, put them back into the supply. Those enclosures now become open to use again, and you grab one of. They're essentially
a fair.
Yeah, they're filler tiles.
Yeah, they're filler tiles, but it's supposed to look like a fair
Yeah,
at your zoo.
they're attractions. There are various attractions and things that fill up your zoo. So food places and whatnot. So, but you take any of these, and these are all different sizes, including a ton of, if I can get one out of here, singles to fill in all those little weird holes that you end up with in any polyomino game. I love this game. I always have. I love the animals. I love the components in this. The boards are all different. So it plays anywhere from solo up to 5, and all the boards are marked. So it's very easy to find the ones you're looking for. I love it. But anyway, this sits in our collection. It is going to stay there. But that is New York Zoo. Very interesting polyomino, race to the finish type of game. No scorekeeping.
It's polyomino.
All right. Anyway, next.
Next is staying with the New York thing.
Well, might as well.
New York slices.
This whole episode is New York themed, I think. Okay. Anyway.
No, not always.
Most of it. All right. So New York slice. I love the production of this game. It opens like a pizza box, and the rule book looks like a pizza menu. So. This plays up to 6 players too. We played this on the last 24. At the beginning of the game, you make 6 stacks of, I want to say 11 slices each. And then there are 3 pieces that are just simply taken out of the game. At the start of every round, whoever's turn it is to be the divider, whoever's turn it is to cut the pizza, sets up their pizza one by one, flipping over all the pieces. This is a set collection game. So you are trying to gather sets of similar style pizzas. So my straight up pepperoni pizzas. There are 11 of these slices in the game. This looks like pepperoni and sausage. There are 9 of these slices in the game. You are trying to collect sets of the different styles of pizza based on the numbers. If there's a piece of pepperoni on it, you can eat the slice right away. At the end of the game, he is 1 point. If you know you're not getting majority, you might as well eat the pizza, turn it face down in front of you, and this is now 1 point at the end of the game. However, any pizza, if it has a pepperoni on it, you can eat it. However, if you don't eat this, the anchovy at the end of the game costs you a point. There's 1 slice in here that has nothing but 3 anchovies on it, so you can't even eat that one. Yeah, he's not worth any points. He's just going to cost you. So you set up the pizza with all 11 slices, and then you pull 1 special card, and this special card becomes one of the things that is divided out. Depending on the number of players, you are dividing the pizza out into that many sections. This is an I split you choose mechanism where you are dividing out all the different slices. You can't rearrange them. They have to stay where you laid them out initially. And then everybody else is taking a turn to choose their section of pizza. And then one of those sections, or you can keep it all by itself, is the special. They also have a choice of that. And the specials are all different things. Like this one says seconds. Just before scoring, you may eat any number of slices of one type. That's nice. Especially if you know you're not going to win it and you have 3 slices of something with pepperoni on it. You can score 0 or you can score 3 by eating them really quickly. Things like that. After 6 rounds, you score up who has the most of any one type of pizza of each type. The score pad, if I can find it in this, there we go. There is no neat way to store this one, I'm afraid. The score pad looks like a guest check for a pizza place. So you simply score up who gets who won majority in each of the numbers of pizza, and then what your specials were, what your anchovies were, how many pieces of pepperoni you ate, the whole works. Highest score wins. It's a simple, quick game.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this.
That's what it has going for it, is because it's quick and simple.
Yeah. And the theme is fun.
An opening game or an end of the night game.
Yeah, agreed. So, although it does not store easily, my gosh, I know it was stored better than this when we put it away, but I'll fix it later. But anyway, that is New York Slice. This sits in our collection. I found this at Goodwill several years ago.
Don't we have a copy in both?
No, we do not. We only have
did.
the one copy. So, I don't know. I might be inclined to move this over just because of the theme of it. But at the same time, I don't know. We haven't decided yet.
It fits on the shelf really nicely to fill it in.
It does. It makes the shelf fit nice and tight. So anyway, that is New York Slice, and for now it will stay in our collection.
Okay. Next we have New York Alhambra. This is Alhambra with a New York theme.
It absolutely
and
is.
Actually, it's not really a New York theme. It's
it's Alhambra with different
Alhambra
artwork.
with just
Yeah, it's different artwork. This plays exactly like Alhambra.
Yep.
And we covered that in the A's, but briefly, you divide the deck up at the start of the game with scoring cards that make you stop and score throughout. Everybody starts the game with up to 21, or I think
you deal out till you hit 21.
Hit 21.
It doesn't matter how many cards it takes. I mean, some people might have 7 or 8 cards, another person might have 5.
Right.
But you each have at least 20 or 21.
This is essentially money. On the board, there are tiles laid out, and you are building these tiles out in front of you in a city format, but there are tiles laid out here that next to each one of the different color icons, and these are used to purchase those tiles. Each of the tiles will have a dollar amount on them, or a number down here in the bottom. Like this church states that it's $9 to buy it. If it's up here in the blue spot, then I have to have $9 in blue money in order to purchase this, or $9 worth of blue cards to purchase this. If I purchase it with an exact count, I get to go again. But if I don't, you can't get change back. But if I don't purchase it with an exact count, then my turn is over and it goes on to the next player. On your turn, you can draw a couple cards out of the deck. Well, I would take that back. You can take one card out of the deck or one card out of the display here, unless you're taking small valued cards, and then you can take up to a total of a 5 value. So if there happens to be 3 1s out here, you could take all 3 1s if you wanted to. But if you see a 3 and a 4, you can only grab one or the other. You can't grab both. Okay.
This is the part that confuses some people,
This
because,
is.
like, say you got a blue tile that's on the yellow.
Oh my gosh.
You're thinking it's going to cost blue money, but it doesn't.
No,
it costs
it does
the yellow.
not. It costs yellow money, and that is so confusing.
Yeah, they needed that. That was one thing. Even in Alhambra, it does that.
Yes.
They needed to come with some other. I mean, I know this is the basic colors that every game has, but
Yeah.
they needed a way to change that around.
So once you've purchased your tiles, get rid of the board for a second. Once you've purchased all of your tiles, now you're taking those tiles and you're laying them out in front of you. And you're basically building a city. Now, the thing is, you can't collect them and lay them all out after the fact. You're laying them down as you purchase them. So some of these tiles have roads on them, which are hard to see on here because the tiles are so dark and gray anyway.
That's the thing. This one, it was roads.
The other one
Alhambra, it is walls.
Right. And everybody starts with a base tile. And every tile must be able to get back to that tile. You can't have a road interrupting it. So, which I get with the walls. I don't get with the roads. Just cross a silly road. But anyway, so you have to connect everything together where you don't have roads are connecting to roads and basically outlining it. Same as with Alhambra with the walls. So anyway, that's basically how this plays. Again, you're just building out your city. When the scoring cards come up,
2 scoring cards.
Yep, there's 2 scoring cards and then end game scoring. You're scoring based on who has majority of each of the different colors. Like in this case, I have 4 stations out, so I would probably get majority, especially in the first round for those. And then whoever has majority of the churches and the theaters and the, what else is there? That's all I've got here. Wow.
Points for connected roads.
Parks. And then, yes, you get to score all of your connected roads, and those score a point each. So I've always loved Alhambra. This was your favorite game for a long time.
For a long time it was.
So, well, not this one specifically, but
No, Alhambra.
same difference. Do we need both? Probably not. But it's fun to have the different theme now and then. We have...
It's not really a theme, but...
No. We have the regular Alhambra in both collections. So there's no reason to put this over in the other collection. So we'll hold on to it for now. But anyway, that is New York, an Alhambra game. Plays identical. It really does. So, but yeah, that's going to stick around.
So the next one we have is New York 1901. This is one that you've seen at Gen Con with a box ROM, but you saw it at Gen Con. We were trying to get a demo of it when it first came out, and nobody ever showed up for the demos. So,
all right, so yeah, we picked this one up at Gen Con. Or no, we didn't even pick it up that year.
no,
we picked it up later, like the next year or something.
Someplace.
So this game is what made me love Blue Orange games as much as I do. Mostly because of their customer service.
I was say it wasn't because of the game, but
no, because of their customer service. Y'all have met Jarvis. Go back and watch a few videos back.
watch the end of this video.
Watch the end of this video. He's on the very end of this video. He was a mischievous cat. So we had to leave the house one day when this was set up on the table. We came back and one of the player pieces was just gone. I mean, we hunted for it, never did find it. A few years later, we were at Gen Con, and I stopped into the Blue Orange booth. They had this game sitting out, and I wanted to look at some of their other games anyway. So we stopped in at the Blue Orange booth, and I was talking to the guy, and he was trying to introduce us to this game. I'm like, oh, no, we already have it. And I told him the story of Jarvis. We're pretty sure it was Jarvis taking this piece. And he goes, oh, well, here. And he literally picks up one of the pieces off of the game that's sitting out there on the display table and hands it to me and says, here you go, take this one. I was floored. So I have loved Blue Orange. I've always liked their games anyway. Their components are fantastic. But that just kind of solidified it for me. But yeah, just this little guy here. Like this, one of these little guys.
Little green guys.
Yep. So, but anyway. The way this one plays, everybody has a identical set of tiles just with their color on it. And the tiles are divided up into 3 sets. You've got your Bronze Age, your Silver, and your Gold. The board is laid out. I love this artwork too on the back.
Vincent Drake.
Well, that makes sense. But yeah, see, there's the back of the board, guys. I'll show that off since I mentioned it. See, isn't that pretty? I love it. Anyway, so here's your board. So basic streets that are famous in New York. Yeah, New York grid. So the board is divided up into all these sections, all these squares. And the game is played with a set of cards that are, you have 4 cards sitting out in front, on the table of different style cards. Oh, of course, those would all be the same.
I don't know what the other cards look like. I never got one.
You act like you've never gotten one. You got some during that game. Whatever. Anyway, we played this the other night with Cooppola Nerds. But anyhow, so there's 2 different types of cards out. There's the 2 square cards and the 3 square cards. Now,
hello.
Hi, Goose. She's like, why are you guys on my table?
Can you go down?
Come on,
Can you
get down, baby.
Thank you.
There is 1 card for literally every spot on this board. So when the cards run out, that's it. Game's over. Because nothing else can be built. Every space is taken. On your turn, you are either pulling a card out and placing out one of your little workers to hold that spot. You've claimed this deed of land. or you are taking guys off the board and you're building. Well, and you can do both in the same turn. Later in the game, you can demolish and rebuild. You can instead of picking up a card, you can take off buildings you currently have on the board. Maybe you've got a bunch of 2s together, demolish those and put down a bigger building to get more points. As you are laying down cards or as you're laying down buildings, you're getting the points for them. So, for example, oh, there you go. Good idea. So these are some of the bigger buildings that everybody gets one of at the end of the game. But like this is the Singer building. This is worth 10 points at the end of the game. Actually, it's 10 points as soon as I build it.
Yes.
Here's the Woolworth building. He's worth 13. The pieces that everybody has for their own set are worth anywhere from 2 to 8, I think.
Yes. Is
the value on those. So you're scoring as you go, because as you're scoring your buildings, you're scoring. You can't build a silver building until you get to 6.
In a 4-player game.
In a 4-player
game. In a 2-player
game,
it's 10.
Right. You can't build a gold building, which means you can't demolish and build these until you get to either 18 or 25, depending on your player count. Meanwhile, there are some specialty cards that allow you to build twice in one turn or to refresh the market. Each player has 1 card of each one, and once you use it, it's a one-time use per game. And then there are also bonus cards that are put out at the beginning of the game. You put 3 of the street cards out, and these are basically 5 points for every building you have built along those particular streets. This is what cost me the game this last time, because I, for some reason, I built on the opposite side of the board for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't think you had any points out.
I had a few. I had like 10. You guys had like 40. I was in second place until these cards came up. And then I was last by like 30. I was in last one. I
ended up in second.
Yeah. I've always liked this game. It's a neat city building. We don't play it very often, I'm afraid, but I do really enjoy it.
And this is a polyomino game I don't mind to play.
Well, because everything has its specific locations.
Yes.
When you pick up a card of a yellow 2 card, you know you are claiming a yellow 2 spot. Hopefully you can get the yellow 2 right next to it or the yellow 3 right next to it so that you can put a larger building on there. Or better yet, you build a 2 now, and then later on, you can demolish and build something bigger and get double the points.
The last game I didn't do too bad because all I got was the 2s.
Yeah. So, like I said, I very much enjoy this one. But yeah, that is New York 1901, and it will stick around. All right, last but not least.
And the last one we actually bought this at Gen Con, like the second Gen Con we ever went to, with our prize money from winning the pandemic tournament. And now we wonder why.
Of all the games that Z-Man sold, I'm not sure. Okay.
This is Neuroshima Hex.
To be fair, this was before we realized we didn't like confrontation games. This was very, very early. I mean, this was very early in our collection.
I was looking for the copyright on here. 2014. So yeah, this was the first year second year we went to Gen Con.
Yeah.
The first year we actually went to Gen Con looking at board games.
Yeah. All right, so Neuroshima Hex is a very confrontational game. It is typically a player versus player. You can play up to 4, but it is designed for 2. So in a 2-player game, you use the inside grid. If you have more players, that's the only time you use the outside of the board. Everybody has 1 headquarters somewhere on the board. That headquarters has 20 hit points, essentially. And the goal is to take out another player's headquarters to be the last person standing. Luckily, there are alternative rules that end the game faster.
Yes.
So,
like when you're out of tiles.
Like when you're out of tiles, yes. On your turn, you are drawing up to 3 cards. You can save tiles in your hand each turn, but you are essentially drawing 3 tiles or drawing back up to 3 and discarding 1, so you only ever have access to 2 per turn. And then you can play those out, or you can discard 1, or you can hold on to it for the next round if you want to, however you want to do it. But there are lots of soldier icons, and these have a ton of icons on it I'm not going to go into, but each one of them will do a certain type of battle, whether it be hand-to-hand or long-range. This guy throws nets.
That one was that's the one that I played last,
Yeah.
and that one is definitely, it's all about hand
It's
to hand.
hand-to-hand, whereas I
had
grabbed...
2 long-range ones, and that was it. Yours was more
I
long-range.
grabbed the green guys last night for the first time, and almost everybody is long-range, so that really helped me. But, so there are also a number of different instant tokens in here that do various things, and then there are also some, I know I saw one in here. Yep, there are modules that give extra bonuses too, like this one will give an extra initiative point to every unit it's connected to by the gray little tunnels. You're laying these out on your turn. You can lay out up to 2 tiles anywhere on the board in any configuration on the board.
Yep.
You can lay it right up against your opponent's headquarters if you want to. You can lay it clear across the board and protect your own headquarters if you want to. Whatever you want to do. But when you play an instant, you take care of those instantly. And there's some moves and different things, different instant effects. This is battle. When you play a battle token, everything stops, and then you battle. And that ends your turn, though. So if you're going to do anything else, you better do it first. But you battle out. And then you basically start at the top of the initiative order. So in this case, this 3 would go first, and he would do his damage. And then if there's any 2s surviving, then the 2s would go next, and then the 1s. And then finally, your headquarters can attack if somebody is standing next to him or next to it. So every time you do a battle, troops are leaving the board. Simple as that. It is straight up head-to-head confrontation.
Yes.
And I know this is a very popular game.
It is.
But
I
confrontation is not our thing.
Right.
That's for sure.
And I made the comment the other night when we played this again that I don't think the factions are.
I think they each have
Equal.
their strengths. Were the 2 that we played with, maybe not.
They were not even close to being.
Well, I don't know.
Even.
I don't know if you read the back of yours to see what it suggested. Because the back of the card, each faction has a
They were to get
card.
close to the other person's base because it was all hand to hand.
Right.
The only way they could to take out your base was to be at hand to hand.
Right. So yeah, each faction has a card showing all the tiles and what they do, as well as suggestions on the back on how to play that particular faction. But yeah, your faction was 100% hand-to-hand.
Yeah,
Or
so I had to get
mostly.
close, but yours was almost all range, so all you
Yeah.
had to do is just stay away from me and just shoot me from the range and shoot
did.
my base from range.
I mean, I like the fact it's asymmetrical. Because everybody had different stuff. I thought it played better than the first couple times we've played this. But this is our 3rd play of this one. That being said, it's not our kind of game.
Our 3rd place since 2014.
Yeah, in 10 years, yeah, right? So this one sits in the other collection. We actually moved it to the other collection a long time ago. We're going to leave it there because I know it is a popular theme. It is a popular game. I get that. It just isn't our kind of game.
Not our kind.
Yeah,
Nope.
not ours. But anyway, that is Neuroshima Hex. It is going to stay in the travel collection. And that is it for this episode. Short and sweet, I hope.
Yep.
I didn't look at the time when we started.
What a way to come
I
to
know,
end
right?
it with a game that we don't like.
Yeah, but we liked all the rest. All right, well,
Well,
I liked all the
You
rest.
liked all the rest. There was 2 in there that I did not like.
What?
New Haven and Neuroshima Hex.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying 2 over. Never mind. Anyway, that's it for tonight. As I said in the beginning, if it is not yet January, if it is not yet June 7th, please tune in and join us for the Live 24. It should be a lot of fun. Last year's had a lot of energy to it. We all had such a great time, and we want you to join us.
Even in the middle of the night.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We were laughing pretty hard in the middle of the night. I think we were all getting very punchy.
But until then, we will see you at the next one.